Okay, everybody. Welcome to Tech Talk Live, and my name is Jeff Potts. This is Tech Talk Live episode number 61, first one of 2013. That's pretty exciting. And today we have Aaron Heath with us. And Aaron, you are a principal application developer at Saks Fifth Avenue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct. Hi.
And hey. And you are you work out of New York City?
That's right, live from New York. Here we are.
Hey, that's cool. And what's the weather like? Is it sunny and gorgeous, and people are walking around enjoying the weather today in New York?
You know, not yet, but it looks like it's going to be a nice weekend. I think it's going to be close to 60 degrees this weekend, so it's a little bit of an odd one, but still cold today.
Oh, that's good. That's good. All right, well, very cool. So just a reminder to everyone that we record these sessions, and we will send out the recording and afterwards, as well as a link to the slides if Aaron is willing to share those. And if you have questions as we go along, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So you know, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A window or the chat window, I guess, and we will get to those. I would also like to point out that there is a case study available on what Saks and Alfresco have done together, and that case study, along with case studies from a variety of Alfresco customers, is available at alfresco.com. So, Aaron, this is great. I'm glad that you're joining us. I think what you're going to be talking about today is really a classic use case for Alfresco, and especially in managing things like marketing content for online web properties, and so I'm just, you know, it's sometimes we talk about things that are sort of really pushing the boundaries of what you'd expect on someone to use Alfresco for, and sometimes we talk about things that are just right square in the wheelhouse. And I think this is in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, right. It's definitely you know, basic, like you said, basic use of Alfresco. And one of the things that when I started working with Alfresco that I had, you know, sometimes trouble finding resources. So just hope to, by sharing my work, you know, get some feedback on how I can do it better, but as well as also have it available for others who are just starting out with Alfresco.
That's great, man. That is the spirit of the Alfresco community summed up right there. I love to see that. So, all right. Well, do you have some slides that you want to?
Yeah, I guess we can start with the slides. So as you mentioned, we did do a case study with Alfresco, and I'm basically just going to be using the same slides that I used along with that case study. But with this session, I plan on, you know, going a little bit more in depth and technical. So I hope to, instead of getting lost in the slides, mostly just be able to demo. But the slides will be good references for talking points.
All right,
I'm not
perfect.
sure if I'm the presenter yet, or if I'm the, I guess I need to, I can present. I can go through the slides. I just don't know if I can share my screen yet. But,
yeah, you should be able to. There should be a share button towards the top that you can click and then pick an application, if I'm not mistaken. But when you're ready to do that, if you can't find that button, then
okay.
Max will always swoop in and save the day.
Hi, here I am. Yeah, you've got the ball, Aaron. So you're the presenter, and if you just go to the top navigation where it says File, Edit, Share, and Share, if you pop that option, it will. There you go. Perfect.
Okay. Great. Although in doing so, I lost the.
Oh, so you've got a floating toolbar now. If you just mouse over that you can go back to the main screen. That's good. I can see all your lines of lovely code.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Cool. There's the code. That looks good.
Well, I just wanted to go back to the main view.
So if you see the return button, the big blue button at the top.
I can stop sharing for now. I guess that would be what I'll do. Okay.
That works.
Yep. So sorry about the glitch. Here we are, back to the start.
No problem. All right.
Yep. As Jeff already mentioned, I am Aaron Heath, an application developer with Saks Fifth Avenue. My responsibility is content management applications for the website, for Saks.com, as well as our mobile applications and mobile sites. I guess it's a little background. I can talk as I go through these. It's a little bit of a blurb, I guess, about what Saks.com is and what Saks Fifth Avenue in general is, I guess. This came directly from the website. We've been using Alfresco on the website since early 2011. And one second. Actually, oh yeah. So early 2011, we've been using Alfresco on the website. Before that, we primarily used Red Prairie or Blue Martini for our e-commerce platform. And so they managed all the content in Blue Martini besides products. They had marketing content, basically everything. They even had code in Blue Martini. So when I was hired, I was tasked with the job of trying to pull out some of the marketing content, so non-product content, out of the Red Prairie system and into a system that we could use more as a service. The plan was, since we already had the e-commerce platform running the website, we wanted the ability to have a central repository for content that would serve content to our websites and mobile apps. So Alfresco definitely. Sorry about the interruption. I had an interruption. So we wanted a content management system that we could pull the marketing content. So we're talking about homepage images and banners and landing pages for the section pages. Pull that out of Blue Martini and into Alfresco. So the technology, just to back up a little bit, some of the technology we're currently using for Alfresco. We're currently on version 3.4.9. We're hoping to go to version 4 fairly soon. That's on Red Hat Linux version 6 with Oracle as the database and JBoss as the application server.
Aaron, let me ask you a question real quick.
Sure.
So the Red Prairie and Blue Martini, was it that your marketing team didn't want to or couldn't use those tools, or was it prohibitive from a cost perspective, or what was the reason why those tools weren't working out for managing the marketing content? That's
a great question. With Blue Martini, it's great for managing products and user information, basically shopping cart. It handles the shopping cart and transactions when purchasing, but for changing an image on the website, it could take up to hours to change an image. And we have times, we deal with a lot of vendors where we sell products from a lot of different vendors, and there's times where something may be spelled wrong, or something may be sold out, or something may just need to be changed right now. And with Blue Martini, sometimes it would take hours just to change an image. It basically synchronizes from one environment to the next, so it goes through and determines what has changed, and then publishes the update. So the requirement was we need the ability to be able to change content quickly and easily, and also put more of the content control into the marketing departments and merchandise operations hands. So before, a lot of times they actually had a reference to the marketing, an image or a reference to a banner directly in the JSP code or in our code. And so it would take a developer, it would take somebody from the creative department to change an image, and then it would take a developer to, if not change the code, at least change the system, change the image in the system, and then publish it out. So it involved multiple teams, and then it would take a long time. So basically, with Alfresco, as we start to put more and more content in Alfresco, basically our #1 rule is as we port something into Alfresco, the business will then be responsible for that. They become in control. They have the ability to edit the content and approve it or publish it without involving IT. So it's kind of twofold. It's quicker. We're able to publish updates within minutes. The only I guess issue with timing is more the caching that we have involved. But we actually are able to publish content to our production environment and have it updated within minutes. So that's the biggest advantage. And we didn't have to change our underlying system.
Yeah, I think that's a key point, right, is that it wasn't that you're using Alfresco to power the whole thing. I mean, you're still using the systems to do what they're good at doing, right? I mean, Blue Martini is a well-known system that's used by retailers all over the world. So, I mean, it would make sense that it would manage your product catalog and stuff like that. But maybe not so much on the marketing content side.
Yeah, definitely not content. And it made the project of actually implementing Alfresco bring our time to to getting the actual system in place and actually using it on the site. It made it much smaller. We started with a small piece. We actually just took videos. To put the video, we had a new video template, which I can show here, I guess, in a minute. A video template that actually used Alfresco, or we created the videos in Alfresco and published them out, and then the new video template would render those. So we were able to have that as an initial project, and we didn't have to, have this enormous system that basically changing the way the website worked. So it was actually quick and easy, and then we just built on top of that.
Yeah, that's great.
I guess I could. I guess I'll talk about briefly some of the main, some of the key integrations that we've had to do, or I guess there were my main, integrations we had to do in order to go live. So one of the main ones was we still have Blue Martini for our products and assortments. We just consider an assortment a group of products. So we needed a way to associate Alfresco content with Blue Martini content. So we created basically a RESTful web service, which allows the web service basically will return the structure information of Blue Martini. So you set up the merchandise operations will set up folders of products, and then this service can call Blue Martini and return that structure. And then each call you can basically navigate up or down the tree, and then you can select items or select folders and then have that information saved in Alfresco. So we ended up creating a custom association picker basically with the share. We use the share primarily for, we create custom types that define basically the types of content that we'll have on a page. And we use the share for, we have some forms in there that allow the users to fill in basic information about the content. I guess I can show you. Let me go to share my screen here. All right, so this is the Alfresco share for in our development environment. I'm already logged in as just a default user here, content manager. We do at Saks have Alfresco completely integrated with our LDAP directory system, so everybody can log in with their Windows and network username and password, which everybody loves. We don't have to manage multiple accounts. But for this purpose, I'm just using a content manager, which is basically someone who has the ability of editing and creating content, but they also have the ability to publish content. We basically, for the majority of our site, in Alfresco, we have broken down where that content is stored into 2 different sites. We have media, which the creative department has access to, so they can upload images, and that's basically, our content's very image heavy, so it basically starts with someone uploading images into the media site. And then the actual media assets or media content gets associated with pages which are in the project site. We basically created a one-to-one mapping with every page on our site that can have Alfresco content has the ability, we create a page in Alfresco to be able to add content to that page. So I'm going to be able to show this association picker with Blue Martini content a little bit different than just showing the video. Actually, I'm going to be able to show on our section pages. So this is the Saks website. This is in the development environment. Hopefully it will start responding fairly quickly. It can be slow at times, the development system. But this here is our women's apparel section page. This is just a default image. We actually had, because Blue Martini still runs the site, we had to have the ability to have images still be displayed if you don't have something set up in Alfresco. So if we ever see this, we know something's probably wrong with Alfresco or something wasn't set up correctly, because we really don't want to see this. But to the average customer, they don't know the difference. I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we have this share, which is great form-based content editing tools, great for the media, the creative department can upload the images into there, but we wanted something where the users could actually edit the content directly on the site. So we've created this custom editing tool, which allows us to, from the website, I'm already logged in, but from the website, it will allow me to basically have controls of Alfresco content. It's not finding any Alfresco content, so I'm not getting any controls. So I'm going to step back a minute, and I'm going to go into the media site. We're going to set up this women's apparel section page. While doing that, I'll be able to show this custom association picker. So this is our media site. It's mostly images, so we have this image previewer that kind of displays. This is just the out-of-the-box Alfresco image previewer, but it will show some of the images. I'll go into document library, and we've broken it down to page components. Meaning these are the components that can be added to a page. What we're going to be doing is adding an image here and then adding some controls and linking to that image. So that's a section page. So I have a section page folder here. And we call that image area in the middle a feature. And actually the way our creative department works here is even though sometimes it may look like it's multiple images in the middle area, it's just one image, one large image that they create. They find it gives us, it's easier for the creative department, but it also gives us more flexibility. We're not tied to just one look and feel in here. It's basically however that image is created, able to get displayed there.
Now so this folder, sorry, Aaron, I didn't.
No, go ahead. Good.
So this folder structure that we're seeing here is something that the people that manage this content were already familiar with, or? That's right. So we basically took we took a lot of their the users' feedback on how they work and how they want to work and what they're used to. So there's a folder that represents each one of these sections, and that's the way the business was used to working, where they organize content based on where it's going to be used. And then we work in terms of dates here a lot, where pretty much every week, once a week, we publish a new version of our site. That's the way they like to talk. It's basically we publish new code updates and new features and new functionality, bug fixes, but we also publish new content and new products, pretty much on a weekly cycle. We have the ability to publish content at any time, but on a week, our teams pretty much work on weekly cycles, where this week we're working on what's going to be published on Monday. So they spend the first part of the week setting it up, creating it, editing it, and then the last part of the week signing off, approving it, making sure it's exactly what they want. So this folder structure in for the page components basically just maps to those sections. So the creative department can come in here, and there's no images in here. Basically what they do is they upload an image. So I have an image here that I want to use. They usually use the name, the week in the name here, and then WA for which section it's for. It's just the naming convention they're used to. We don't really enforce any naming conventions in Alfresco. It just needs to have the extension on the end here so we know what type of content we're serving for some of our caching rules.
Normally we'd get a preview here. I'm not sure why we're not getting the preview. Sometimes it's a little slow, but we would get an image preview. We probably will here.
But are you, if I'm jumping ahead, just let me know, but do you generate multiple renditions of that image, or using Alfresco's transformation capabilities, or
only the default in the share? Only the default in the share. We don't do any more than that. It might be good. Sometimes we need thumbnails. It might be good to use the image magic and the image transformation functionality that Alfresco provides. Currently, we don't really use that. The creative department, who, they all of the images we use on the site, we shoot ourselves. So the creative department has a photo studio, and they work with designers and models and take the photos, and then they're used to working with them with the tools that they use. They just mostly need a system where they can upload the asset and then let the business teams take it from there.
Right. Okay.
So as we see here, unfortunately, we're not seeing the image, and sometimes this server has it's a development environment. Sometimes it has memory issues or other problems that prevent some of these things from happening correctly. So hopefully we'll get the image preview here, but it's not necessarily, it's not necessary, I guess. One thing I didn't really touch on, and I hate to be jumping all over, but we use a lot of rules, so Alfresco rules, basically, for determining, or for this folder structure is also convenient for the business teams, but we also set up rules on the folders so we can tell basically what type of content is going to be in that folder. So you saw I uploaded an image and then I had some metadata. We'll go back to that metadata, but I had some fields there that aren't common or aren't normally displayed for just an image.
Mm-hmm.
So we have rules on pretty much all of our folders. The most common rule that we use is specialized type, where we will say, so I've defined in our content model, and I can go and show you the code, but this type, which is feature, which basically has all the properties that we have defined for a feature. A feature is an image, but it also allows image mapping, so it's going to be an image with multiple links. All of our page component content has start and end dates. We basically, I think it's the effectivity aspect we add to those types, so it gets a start and end date, so we can tell, basically set when that content is going to be active on the site. So the first rule is to specialize a type. So basically, I just say when any content is uploaded into this folder, as long as it's base type of content, which means I don't want to be running this rule or doing this transformation on folders, because I'll allow the business to set up multiple folders, whatever works for them. But I want to catch all basic content that gets saved in this folder and turn it into a feature. And the rule applies to all subfolders. That way, like I said, they can create folders. So what that means is, go back to the image we uploaded. What that means is this image we just uploaded, because of that rule, became a feature. So a feature to us has these fields. We have this we use for workflow. Basically, we let the business say once they set it to ready, when it gets saved, another rule gets fired and it actually adds it to our workflow, which we use for publishing. As it gets approved, it would get published to our different environments. But we have the ability to associate products to this piece of content here, and that's what I was starting with, was our custom association picker that's going to let us navigate the Blue Martini system and associate products to this image. And that's what we call hotspots, because basically in this scenario, we have the ability to add, they call them hotspots, but it's a little informational like overlay that we can let the customer interact with that specific product. So the creative department, or at this point it's the merchandise operations team, they know which products they want to, they're advertising here. So they can come here and go into Blue Martini and say, I want to associate these products with this piece of content. So what I have here is just the basic, I guess, association picker, but it's been customized to, instead of navigating inside the internal Alfresco system, it's actually calling the Blue Martini web service. So on the left side here, I have a list of Blue Martini folders and content, basically, or products within the Blue Martini system.
That's cool.
So
was that, so are you calling using Blue Martini's, do they have a Java API, or like is it a RESTful API that you're calling?
It's a RESTful API that we created here at Saks, but what that API, or what that web service basically is doing is calling the Blue Martini API to basically, it starts at the root of the system, and then each click calls that web service, passing the parents folder and any subfolders or sub assortments. So it's kind of a wrapper around the API, and then we have this association picker calling that API, and each click it can pass that information in.
Yeah, so that's just making AJAX calls to that web service that you guys wrote.
Right, that's correct.
Cool.
So this was our first integration that we had to do here, because they were storing products in Blue Martini but wanted to be able to associate those to Alfresco content. So this is a big milestone allowing us to do this. So basically we can add, the merchandise operations team, they're familiar with, they set these up, they know which products are in there. But we can add this here, and this is really what we want on the code level, is because another thing, we're not allowed to show products on the website that aren't currently sellable. So the code that's going to be presenting this content will do a real-time call again to the Blue Martini API with this ID, and we'll find out which products there are, and we'll find out if they're sellable, and also we can do dynamic pricing, so we can dynamically show the current price of these products. So that's why we need to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and add everything we can to this image, and then we'll see it on the site and how we can interact with it. We have these video loops, which is the next item here. That's just a small video that repeats itself. That when I first started, they had this standard template for the section pages, and if they wanted a video loop on it, it was always in the same position on that template, always in the middle, and they didn't have any control. So we're using those same video loops, but we give the user the ability to position those videos on the site. So this is using the basic association picker that Alfresco has, but this one has been modified a little bit to use the start location. So basically we tell it where to start, because we have so many folders and so many different subfolders that it's easier for the business teams if they just, it starts right where that type of content is saved. So we have a folder in the media page components area for video loops, and then we just let, we just let the business add those to the page, or the image, and here's the effectivity control basically, but this gives us, effectivity aspect will give you the start and end date and time. So all of our content has to be set up with valid start and end dates, or it will not be shown on the site. We'll go ahead and say today at 11:30, and we'll say it's going to be good until 11:35. We'll go back and check at 11:35. Maybe I should say 40 just to be safe. We'll go back and check at 11:40 to see what happened. We have the ability to associate other features, which are just our images, to a feature. We have one of our templates will actually rotate through multiple images. So this is one way that we've done. I won't be showing that, but this one, but I can show there is one setup that will do that. So this is really all that's needed by the, well, on the image side, by the merchandise operations team to set this up. You see there's some data fields here. We have a custom editing tool that I briefly mentioned. We'll see it in action here in a second. But that tool will write data here. We kept it visible, so sometimes as developers we need to get in there and see what was written. But the basic editor does not need to even see this information. We will save this and jump over to the project site. This is where the actual pages are saved. In hindsight, it would be called pages. I probably will be changing it eventually. But the way our system's kind of grown, we started with that video template that I mentioned, and it kind of made us focus too much on just videos. But as we grew past that, we came into this system where basically or this organization where we basically have pages in Alfresco that map to pages on the website, and then we can add and remove content to those pages. Our section pages are, Blue Martini still controls the site, most of it. So Blue Martini gives you an ID for this category. So it gave us a hook into the Alfresco system to say, we'll curate a page and make this its ID, so then that's how they're connected. But some of our other pages weren't that straightforward on how to give it an ID. But here I have Saks pages, and it's very similar structure on this side, where there's different page types. We'll go back to the section, but each page type, and you see there's rules applied. That's what this icon shares for, but we have several rules, but the main one would be to specialize the type that gets saved into this folder as a section page, for instance, for these. So here we have basically a one-to-one for each of those sections. Besides the test, we have some automated test scripts that go on and make sure that things are being returned as expected, so we have some testing. But here's our women's apparel page. So we'll edit the metadata of this, and you see we have the ID. We probably don't need to have this editable because once it's set for good. I actually have a restraint, custom restraint or constraint, excuse me, a custom constraint on this on all pages that will not allow multiple pages with the same ID to be saved. That kind of prevents that will enforce that we only have one page per ID, and it gives us the hook when we're searching. We have web scripts that call Alfresco and pass in this ID, and it runs a Lucene query and finds this content item, and then we'll return all the attached content or associated content to that. So we have these features and slider. I can go over what these are, but basically they're predefined content that could be attached to this page. We'll go ahead and add our feature that we just created. Again, it starts in the features folder in the media site. We'll go to women's apparel. We see we have our image here. So that's how this gets set up within Alfresco. The merchandise operations team would do that, and then they come out here they would actually come to our pre-production website, which is a little bit faster than my development environment. But they actually, once they set it up, do the basic setup, they will come out to the site and go to the page that they want to edit and have it load.
Now, oh, cool. There it is. I was going to ask you a question, but I'll save it.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. it must have sensed that, so it's sped up a little bit. So I appreciate it. So now you see we have an image here, but nothing else. We don't, no linking. Nothing has been done to it. So back to our custom editing tool. Now we have 3 of these tools unchecked. And this is version 1 of our editing tool. We're actually in the process of rewriting this, and I really wish I could share some of that or show some of that maybe next time. This was version 1, which we just felt we needed an in-context editor or a way to edit the content directly on the website. And then the best way we could find to come up to fit exactly what we needed was just to develop it in-house. I know there's some partners like Rivet Logic who have a great product that does something similar, but this is basically version 1 of our tool. The first thing we will do is maps and links. So basically, as I mentioned before, we use image maps, just I think straight out of 1990, HTML, that will allow us to have multiple links for one image. Because this is created as one image, but obviously, you know, we're not going to have each link go to the same, or each area go to the same part on the site, or the same place. So we have this Maps and Links tool, which will basically give us an overlay of the image, and will let me draw right on it where I want the link, or the linking information, basically. For this version of the tool, well, we use Omniture basically for tracking, for analytics. We have site analytics to basically give our marketing team insight into how the users are interacting with our content and interacting with our pages. So one way to add the analytics or the tracking information to our links is to we add like a query parameter or information to the actual links that will allow us to track it. So for this version of the tool, we do that with groups. So we allow a group, you can have as many links as you need in that group, but then each group gets its own Omniture tag basically for tracking. So this group one will, behind the scenes, will translate to a tracking entry basically. But we can say we want to add a link here, and we have different link shapes at first. So you have to go left to right, but the shape you want to draw, the type of link, I'll do 2 for this one, but so we can do standard, which is just your regular standard link to another page. We'll just say click here. And as you go, you get fields based on what you chose. So we chose standard, so you just get a that's our homepage URL. And once I'm done entering the information, I can come here and actually draw the link. When you're done, just say OK. And I'll make one more link in that same group. This one's going to be a video overlay, which we'll call our video template, but it will open right here on the page. Watch video. And now because I chose video, instead of getting the link field as just a text box, I actually get this drop down of videos. These are videos that are in Alfresco that are currently active. So it searched for videos and it returned only the ones that have valid start and end dates. So these are all currently active in Alfresco. They're ordered by start date, I think. We can underline a link. This doesn't work on every image, depends on the color, so that's one thing we're working on with this next version. But we can have it appear to be underlined. So we'll come here and we get a different color that helps the user to determine where their links are being drawn, I guess. And you would just continue down the image doing that with your linking. Basically, the merchandise operations team have a sheet of where each thing is linking to, so they can just copy and paste the information into here. It really doesn't take them too much time. And then when they're finished, they hit submit, and this is going to post this information to a web script, an Alfresco web script, that will take that data and actually update that item in Alfresco. So those data fields are now populated with the linking information. Most of the time, the editing tool will refresh the page for us, but it didn't seem to do that this time. Oh, and you know what? I missed the 40. I knew I was risking. The content became expired by the refresh, so that's
no, that was part of your demo.
Part of my demo. Just trying to get it all in there.
It expired, yeah.
Just trying to get it all in there. So, yep. So now I go back to the feature. We can do 2 things. You can see it was just edited, just updated by Content Manager. So the editing tool is passing the user information. It basically has to log into Alfresco first, which unfortunately it was still logged in from me warming everything up before we went live. But I was logged in as the Content Manager, and it creates a ticket basically, and then it will append that ticket onto the URL of the web script. So it keeps the the details of who made that edit. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to be a little longer, end of the month. And we see here that some of the HTML code here has been entered into this field. So I will come out here and refresh. In our authoring environment, where the content is actually being edited and created, we try to do as little caching as possible because we don't want the tool to, you know, post the data but then still be showing something that was edited, you know, entered a while ago. So we don't use caching in the editing environment just to try to keep it as real time as possible. We've got the images back, and we see that I saw the click here. That's basically will take me to the home page. And here's our watch video, and you see the underline, applied the underline to the image. And here's our video template that also uses Alfresco. So it's calling Alfresco to get the video information, which in Alfresco we have the name, the video, and we've associated products to it. And that also would use that custom association picker. So that's basically the linking. I'm going to go on to the next thing, just as I see some of the time is, you know, we're getting closer to the hour, and I want to show, there's so many things to show. So hotspots, that's the products that we've associated to this image. So when you use the tool and you say, I want to position hotspots, it calls, well, it basically is calling Blue Martini, getting those products that we've basically, we added a whole assortment, which is could be many products. It's basically a folder of products. You see here they said there's 6 of them. It says overlays, it's just basically the terminology that the teams are used to here. But this tool will allow us to drag this to the product that we you know, that this is, you know, if this is the Oscar de la Renta earrings, I guess it would probably be something like that. And we can reshape the box and move the sign. And when you interact with this, it will actually give you basically an overlay or a pop-up of the product information. But we need to position each one of these where they would go. I'll do a few of them here. I need to go through all of them, so. But basically like this, it keeps track of what number you're on.
How did it know how many overlays that you had to do? That's because of the associated products that are?
Yes, so basically we associated an entire folder. In our, in Blue Martini terms, it's an assortment. So we've associated a folder of products, an assortment of products that was pre-assorted by the merchandise operations team. So they know, the merchandise operations team knows that this week we have this image and it's going to have 6 products that we definitely need to highlight. So they'll go and set up those 6 products in this folder. And we've associated that folder to the Alfresco feature. And then now on the pre-production website, we can drag and drop these where they need to go. And then at the final end, it's actually generated this code. This is a positioning HTML that we're going to be using to position each of those. And we'll submit that to Alfresco, and it will populate that hotspot data field with the code. So then when this gets published to production, it's going to have that positioning information which gets entered right into the HTML. The last thing to show is the video. We have the video that I've added. It's a video loop. We can position this, you know, where needed, and we're done. And we'll submit that to Alfresco, and we'll refresh the page, and we will see our work all ready to go. So as the page loads, we have our hotspots. Basically, you know, these don't really correspond with the products shown, but and there's some different ways these could be set up in the Blue Martini system. Some would show one product, some can show multiple products. So, and it does real-time pricing of these products. There's our video. If you see here, the best sellers, I've covered it up, but it's blank. A lot of times these get set up early in the week, and we don't know what our best sellers are. Unfortunately, they're not really dynamic on the section pages. Some of the other areas that will show best sellers, those are dynamic in real time, what our current best sellers are. But for some of these, we wait till the end of the week, and then the creative department will actually insert the image here. So in Alfresco, in order to support that, we don't need the merchandise operations team to come and do anything else here. They could have actually, when they linked the page, they would have linked this to the bestseller. It's always the same URL basically. So I think they just have the ability to flagging which product it is or which brand it is. So when they link this, they can get it all set up even when the image isn't there. And then in Alfresco, we can upload a new version of this image. So I actually have two here, which has the bestseller updated. And I apologize for the preview not showing up. It's nice to be able to see it here, and I'm not sure what's wrong in my environment. Normally we see it right there. But I can come out here to the site and refresh it, and I should have my bestseller there. So there's the image has been, it's a new version of the same image, but all the linking will still be there. I still have my video. I can still go to the home page. One thing to show is for caching, we have several layers of caching, and all of our images we say cache far future date. So we basically say this is good forever. It's not going to expire. Keep this image in the cache forever, because we know if we change that image, we're going to change the name of the image. So just now I've changed the version. I'm going to show you how the URL is to Alfresco. I have to remember which one of these it is. There it is. So we're currently using the guest download servlet to serve these images, so it doesn't check permissions that way. And we used to not use that servlet for getting the content, but once we switched over to LDAP actually, and we had LDAP integration, we had some issues because the LDAP has a guest account which is disabled by default. And we serve our content as guest user, at least to the images, because we don't expect the user to log in or any kind of authentication. So at the end of the URL here, there's our image. We have added the version number. So each time that version changes, it appears that the name of the image changed, because we've told the caching to look at the query parameters. So that's one way we get through the cache anytime that image changes. So sometimes there's a spelling mistake on these images, or maybe the sale changes, and we'll publish another image that basically in Alfresco has the same name. So this is still called, has the same name, but because of the versioning, we've turned versioning on for these images, and we keep each version. Gives us the ability to revert as well. There's been times where they say, oh, product sold out, get it off the site, and then tomorrow we may have more inventory, so we want the image that was up there yesterday. So we can revert and publish again. I guess I could touch briefly on the workflow. I'm not going to be able to really show this because in this environment I only have one Alfresco. But we actually use the Alfresco transfer service for publishing content. So
okay,
we have an Alfresco.
Sorry, that was one of my questions, was how are you removing content between environments, or if you were moving content between environments?
We're looking forward to version 4 where we can publish to file systems, because we think we can publish some of these images to like a web server, which would be much faster than the Alfresco environment. But right now we're using the transfer service to transfer to another Alfresco instance. So we have an Alfresco instance in the pre-production for authoring and an Alfresco environment for in production. Our production environment is 3 nodes and it's clustered, and we publish content by the transfer service. And then calling that transfer service gets called, or the actual steps of transferring that content happens in our workflow steps. So as it gets approved, it gets published or transferred to the other environment. When I first started, I thought for sure we could just have one Alfresco instance environment and serve content based on the state. They have different states of the content, like production or not production, and serve the content, have the web script smart enough to serve the content, or maybe have it saved in a different location in the share or in Alfresco, and serve content for the live site in a folder, like a site that's been approved or a specific site. But there are some advantages to having different environments. There's times where the pre-production environment might be down or might have issues, or it's just nice to know that the production environment is separate, because just if there's those issues, which we commonly have, or maybe not commonly have, but we have, you know, any large website would have in the pre-production environment. We don't want that to affect our main site. So I'm going to go back to the women's apparel page. Basically, all of our content. It's another aspect that I've created that basically adds this drop-down called content action, content item action. But every one of our content items in Alfresco has this drop-down. So whether it's an image or whether it's actually a page, it has this item. So we can, this field. We can set it to ready when we're finished, when we want it to be basically added to the workflow and flagged that it's, going to be published. We basically don't approve all of our content. We just expect if there's issues, then it gets flagged or canceled from the workflow, and the problem is fixed. If no one does anything and it's set to ready, and we just take that as this is ready and it's been approved. And then we have scripts that are called during our publish process. I mentioned earlier how when we publish a new version of the site, we're publishing content from all of our systems and products and code updates. So as a step in that process, it calls these web scripts, which will publish all content that's been set to ready and in the workflow. So that's how it works here. I'll save this. And I have another rule that's firing. Actually, I can show you the rule configuration, but it's running some JavaScript that basically it adds this to the workflow. So I have a workflow. We just call it Saks Lifecycle Workflow, but it's the one workflow we use here that basically will tie the approving of this content to the publishing step. We can interact with the workflow from this screen, but also we've modified the My Tasks dashlet, our area here, to show items that are in the workflow and what step they are in. Preview is our authoring environment. But we can come here and see we have approved for stage. We actually also have a staging environment where that's where the final approval or QA is looking and checking and making sure everything's good. If it gets to stage and after approving for stage, that's when the scripts, the scripts can also push it to stage, but that's when the scripts take over and we don't have any other interaction, basically. I'm not able to show this in this environment, but I can show the rule. Actually, we can come back here, and instead of, sorry to be bouncing around. I'm just going to cancel it, but we'll cancel in a second. So we'll see by adding it to ready, the status is ready and it's in the workflow. I'm going to go back to my dashboard and get to this item here and cancel it. It's gone now from the tasks. And only people that are in the content manager group can see that and approve content. The content editor group that we have, they can make all these changes we've been seeing, but they don't get the ability to approve it, because approval is also publishing, so we had to be careful not to allow everybody to do it. But now, because I canceled it, the status is back to new, and the content action item is back to new. Archive works the same way, except for it actually deletes it. So it will delete the item in this environment and then transfer that delete to the other environment.
So is there coordination, Aaron, that has to happen between these workflows and, say, Blue Martini, or do the products get into the product catalog well ahead of the marketing content? Like, do you have to make sure that, when you publish that page that you just set up in women's apparel, that all the products that are on that page are also then pushed through whatever Blue Martini's workflow is to get those products into the product catalog? Or
there is coordination that needs to take place. That's what our QA department comes into play, because they test those things test all the content in our staging environment before it goes live. So they will make sure, and then they publish normally they publish everything together. So we have the ability to publish Alfresco content at any time. I could push that approve for stage, and then after that happens, I get a button that says approve for production. And I can do that at any time, and it literally publishes it right then to those environments. So that's good for updates and edits. But for our weekly process where maybe we have new products and new content, and we also use Endeca for search on our site. And so Endeca takes product extracts from Blue Martini and manages it in its own system. So we have to coordinate all of that. So we basically have one mass published script, which publishes from all of those systems, and one of the steps in that publishing process or publishing script is to call Alfresco and publish Alfresco. So our web script for publishing, it takes two parameters, basically which environment you're going to, stage or production, and it will transfer the content to those environments.
Okay, that's cool.
Well, I was hoping to dig into some of the code and show more, but looks like we're approaching the hour, so I'm not sure if there's any questions or if there's anything that's...
I had a question about your image map editor. I mean, is that something that was completely custom, or did you start with some open source components and simple something? Or
yeah, that's more the front-end development team that built that, and I believe it started with some open source JavaScript library, and then was customized and extended to fit our needs. But I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what libraries it uses. I know we're rewriting it, and it's completely different. We're using different libraries. Actually, I'm really excited about rewriting the editing tool. This editing tool now that we have, actually, for getting the content from the page, it's actually just interacting directly with the DOM. So with the content that's on the actual, in the HTML on the page. Our new tool is actually going to be interacting with Alfresco through a service, through the API that we have. We have a content API that's basically web scripts that serve content and allow us to edit content. So we're using Backbone JS, JavaScript libraries that actually are going to allow us to, and I think Node.js, which are actually allowing the editing tool to interact RESTfully with the Alfresco web scripts. So it will be able to call Alfresco and say, what content do you have for this page? And allow it to edit and then post that content, or those edits back to Alfresco.
Oh, that's cool. Let's see, do you, there's a question that's come through, which is, did you do anything special to make these pages mobile friendly? I guess from an Alfresco perspective, is there anything that you have to do to make it mobile friendly, or is it all front end sort of magic?
It's front end magic. You know, the beauty is, and it's also the way the asset was created and set up, you know, by the creative department. Obviously, these large images we're not using on our mobile site, but for mobile, well, the first thing we put on mobile was our video. I showed you our video template. Well, the beauty is that template is code, JSP, or presentation code. But the main beauty is we can have the same content but present it differently. So we have the same video that has the same fields, the same properties, and same products, and all of the properties basically. But we can use a different video template for our mobile apps and for our mobile site, and use the exact same videos. So I'm just going to show you a video here. These are the videos. So the same kind of process happens here, where an MP4 or a video file gets uploaded into this folder, and then it magically becomes a video, which, as defined by Saks, not just a not just a binary content. I've added this field to show on mobile app yes or no, and we have a web script that's basically part of our content API. So we have an API that our external mobile apps call and our mobile site will call, and it can return. It uses the exact same web script that the editing tool used to give me that drop down of available videos, except for it filters by this field. So we can say, I don't want this video to show on the app, but I do want it to show on the site. But as far as the content, I didn't have to do anything different because that's up to the developer to determine what to do with that content and how to display that content. I'm sure we'll have more of a challenge with this as we start to use more of these image content for our mobile site. Right now we don't have too many images on our mobile site. It's just banners which come from Alfresco, but those are specifically built for the mobile site and they're not used across the board. The only content that we have that's used across the board, so mobile site, mobile apps, and our main site, is these videos. And we also have stores and events information, which I wasn't able to show, unfortunately, but we actually have content for each of our stores, and then we allow, so that's the basic content like address and phone number, and it has like it integrates with Google Maps. I can show you here on the main site real quick. So stores and events, this content here that's going to show up it's going to ask me if I want to share my location. It defaults to New York before that in case you said no. But basically share location, it's going to be the same location. But this finds all the stores that are closest to me in order. Whoops. And closest and top, and a map here. This content is in Alfresco with the basic details of that store. But we also have events, which these events are controlled by the store manager. So the store managers of each store that we have across the U.S. can log into Alfresco and create these events, that when it's going to be, what it's going to be, and that gets approved. It's a little bit different process how that gets approved, but that content is used on this site, our Saks.com site, our mobile site, our mobile app, and soon it will be used on our Office website, which we're going to start using the exact same Alfresco instance to serve content to the Office website. So that's a case where the content's reused across all of our properties, and then it's just up to the application how it presents that content.
So let me ask you a couple questions. I know we're beyond the hour, and I want to be respectful of your time and obviously everyone on the call. But you've obviously done a lot of web scripts. So first is a quick question: did you use JavaScript or Java or a mix for your web scripts?
Mostly started out with JavaScript. I guess when I was new to Alfresco and just starting out, I had some examples and some samples that were all JavaScript. So pretty much all the web scripts were JavaScript. The editing tool that I showed today, this hosting the data from here and returning the data, it's all JavaScript web script. But I've since gotten more comfortable with the Java web scripts, and I feel they're easier to develop for me because I'm more of a Java developer. And I like the fact that you basically have better access or easier access, at least from my perspective, to the actual response of that web script. So you're able to do things like set the expires header fairly easily and set different headers on the response in Java. So kind of the trend for us is we're going more Java based web scripts, but definitely we'll still be using the JavaScript as well. It's pretty easy to quickly spin up a JavaScript web script. A lot of free marker templates at first, where the response of each one of these web scripts would be done in free marker, normally in JSON. But now I'm starting to kind of lean towards not using free marker as much and actually just on the Java web script, creating a Java object that represents that content and then just doing a JSON basically of that Java object, and it will dynamically create the JSON representation of it. That gives me the ability to add new properties to the content in Alfresco and not have to worry about adding those new properties to the free marker template.
Mm-hmm.
So
one thing that we didn't cover at all, which I think probably would be really interesting to a lot of people, is your caching setup and things like that. But I don't think we really have time to do that today. But is there something about Alfresco that it might be web scripts or something else that you've learned as a developer that was just that might, if you could give someone one thing to sort of take away from this project, if they're looking at this going, wow, that's exactly what we need to go build, what's that thing that you would pass along to them, that nugget of wisdom?
Okay,
or is
this
there
is
one?
a tough question, but I mentioned briefly we do a lot of our own custom types. So basically in Alfresco, if you're looking at Alfresco for the first time, I mean, it's great. It supports so many things, and it's really great content management system. But you look at it and, it maybe doesn't quite fit your need because it comes with these base types which don't have the properties that you need. Like we were looking at that image and it had the fields that I wanted or we needed. So when defining, actually I think I have it open. When defining content types, I'm going to go to my page here. I don't know if that's a good thing to search for, so we'll search for section page. So I've defined a page type that's Saks page, for instance. And here's my Saks page, and you see its parent is CM content. So one item I'd like to pass on, or I think is very useful or helpful, is when defining, and you probably will, especially for web content, we use the document management module or portion of Alfresco also. So I believe that's the way it's going forward for web content. There's not going to be a specific product or module, but so you're using the document management with Alfresco, you're going to need to define your own types. Definitely try to have a hierarchy of types so they inherit from each, like basically a hierarchy. So you'll start with one that's your basic type. So right now I have a Saks page, and that only has page ID and that constraint I mentioned that won't allow multiple pages with that ID to be saved. I have a template type. Basically just has some common properties on this page, and then as you need more functionality or different types, just inherit. So I don't have to change that. Now I have a home page type, and I just inherit from the page. So I think that inheritance really helps. And then for us, we're a Java shop, but I have a Java object that maps to these types. So I can easily switch between the type in Alfresco to a Java object that represents that type that I can use on the site. And because of this hierarchy, I can have the concept of returning a page object, and then based on that type of page, I'll know what properties there are, but basically the inheritance. And along with that is I'm starting to learn that using aspects as much as possible, because it allows you to add behavior or properties to these types as needed without having to hard code and remove. What happens if you have a type and all of a sudden you want a new field on it, and you want that field to be on every single one of your types? Well, you don't want to go add it. Because of the hierarchy, it allows me to add it to the base type if I wanted, but I could also use aspects and add that custom behavior to types. And I can do that within the share itself as a rule. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's great advice. Just thinking about your content model ahead of time and being smart with a common base type like you've done, and set up a good hierarchy, and always use aspects as much as possible is another. Those are all good. That's all great advice. Well, this has been awesome. I think this is like I actually tweeted a little while ago that this is really a classic example of how to use Alfresco in a project, which is that you've started with the share interface and you've tweaked it with your own components where it makes sense to do so, and then rather than having Alfresco try to be everything to everybody, you're using it for what it's good at, which is helping non-technical people manage that content and then push it out to a website. So you and your team have done a lot of great work here, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time to share it with us this morning.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and just definitely look forward to working together in the future, and definitely would like to be part of the community more. So I have so much to learn still, so definitely appreciate the opportunity.
All right, man. Well, we are going to invite you back sometime and talk some more about the the caching stuff and whatever else.
Yeah, so much to cover, really.
Yeah, we want to see the new version of that that context editor and all that stuff. So hopefully you'll be agreeable to that, and we'll do it. We'll try to do it before holiday season. I know that was probably pretty crazy for you guys, but
it is. It always is. That's right.
All right. Well, great, Aaron. Well, thank you so much, and everyone, thanks for attending. And we will do this again as usual next month. In February, we will be doing it 1 week later than normal. And Tech Talk Live favorite Will Abson will be joining us to let us know what's new in the world of share customizations. And that's what we'll be doing. So we'll talk again next month. So thanks again, Aaron, and thank you, Max, for pulling this together. And I hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye.
All right.